but he's persuasive, and he can talk people into liking him so well. Everyone likes him. He's so bright. So he managed to stay there for a year or two, not paying tuition, not paying for a dorm room, but they just let him stay and go to whatever classes he felt like. It was kind of neat. And he came back and got a job at Atari and brought me in, and they wanted to hire me, and I said, no way. Hewlett-Packard is a company that I want to be in for life. Engineers are the best people in the world. They deal with facts and truth, and they don't deal with all this political stuff that can go any which way. And I want to be an engineer for life. And at Hewlett-Packard, you can be an engineer for life. It's started by engineers. It's infiltrated with engineers through the management structure. We build the products that engineers use, and that means that every engineer at the very bottom of the org chart is a very good marketing person, knows what he would need himself, and knows what to design for other engineers. So the product ideas in that company flowed from the top and flowed from the bottom, and you just felt so respected as an engineer there, so I'd never leave. Then we got a job, Steve and I, to do Breakout at Atari, the game Breakout, to design it. And Steve came to me and said, could you design it? I said, sure, I'd love to design a game that people play. And he said, trouble is you have to do it in 4 days. He needed some money to buy into some orchard up in Oregon. I don't know what kind of orchard. But we had 4 days and nights. I still don't know, but I don't ask a lot of questions. Must have been an apple orchard, right? So anyway, 4 days and nights. I didn't think it was possible. Back in those days, games were hardware, not software. You had to hook little wires between chips to get the ones and zeros to come out as pulses on a wire at the right times that a TV set would display paddles and balls. So it was very difficult, and somehow we completed it. No sleep, 4 days and nights. We both got mononucleosis from it. But while I was in this state, I've never used an illicit substance in my life, but I was in this state of not quite awake, and my mind was sort of going off into further out places. I saw a little game on the alley, you know, just almost half asleep, and a ball was going across the screen changing rainbow colors. Back in those days, they couldn't afford color TVs for games. They were black and white TVs, but they put little color Mylar overlays of blue, yellow, red, green, and the ball changed colors. And I thought, oh my God, how spectacular. And my head thought up a little chip holding 4 ones and zeros, spinning around in a circle, and the little data that came out on a wire looked pretty much like color TV signals look. How could you do it in one chip when color television circuits always take 100 chips or more back then? So I had these weird little ideas, and it was partly due to lack of sleep. The next step came along was extremely important. Steve Jobs and I both went over to visit a friend down in a basement. This guy was Captain Crunch. He got that name from being a phone freak that discovered that Captain Crunch cereal had a whistle that blew a tone that seized a phone line and put it at your command. So we went down, and he's working on the basement. He's typing on the big, extremely expensive teletype machines. You know, I could never afford one. They cost as much as a car. And he's typing away, clunk, 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 clunk. And he says, I'm playing chess on a computer in Boston. Whoa. And he was all excited about it. Well, I drooled. I thought, just like the Pong game, I have to have one of these. So I went home, and I said, I'll take my television set. I designed a Pong game to put signals into my television at home. That's when you had to unscrew the back of the TV and hook a wire up and use an oscilloscope and find where the video signals go. I had that wire, and instead of putting balls and paddles on the TV, I'll put letters of the alphabet, words, on my own TV. I had to stick with my own TV because it was the only free input-output device I had. I couldn't afford any printers or anything that cost money. So I designed this little circuit that through a modem, I could type on a keyboard I bought, $60. That's hundreds of dollars today. I bought this keyboard, the most expensive part of the whole Apple experience. And I could type on the keyboard, and over a modem, I could talk to a computer in Boston. And then the computer in Boston would type back over the modem to my television set. And it worked. And I could actually run computer programs or see what, programs, the games and all they had for guests to use. And around that time, the Homebrew Computer Club started up. The Homebrew Computer Club was very orderly, but none of us, we were all the low-level technicians that, like myself, wanted a computer in our lives. We knew that with these microprocessor chips that now looked like it was going to be affordable to have a computer. Of course, everybody else wanted this little tiny computer with switches and lights that I had built 5 years before, back when I met Steve Jobs, and they thought, that's a computer. Well, to me, no. The computer's the one I told my dad I'm going to have. 4K bytes of memory, which was a lot back then, and very expensive. You know, had to use the right kind of memories. But our club was full of all these technicians that wanted their own computer. They didn't want to write programs at their company and shove it through a window, and the company runs it and does everything in the world to make you feel it's their computer, it's not my computer. And of course, we were going to birth this revolution where you have your own computer, take it into a company, and be more prolific and more powerful and more productive than even the CEO. And gosh, that was such an exciting image to all of us. And it was that way. It was that way for a lot of years, but now you go to a company and you say, well, what kind of computer are you going to give me? All I get is a 23-inch display. You know, it's like you kind of expect them to give you more, and it's their computer and they have control of it. So we go forwards and backwards. But anyway, I said this Homer Computer Club inspired me with all the social benefits of people being able to organize, even if it was just for demonstrations or something like that, of kids being able to have computers as an instructor, and they would now use the 90% of the brain that supposedly is unused, and all of these advantages that it was going to, you know, help everyone in every home, you know, control their garage doors and their lights and everything like that. I felt this was just such a high goal. I wanted to devote my talents in designing things to be a part of this great social solution for the world. We kept saying it's a revolution. Computers are going to be in every home. The big computer company said, no, it's a passive little thing. Those little microprocessor kids can't do the big job. They can't really do anything useful. They're going to go away and no money in it. And that inspired us even more. It made us more passionate because we were sure we were right, that everybody was going to want computers like we did. You know, and even though we might have been wrong, there's a lot of things you can always not see that make you right in the end anyway. Well, I thought, okay, finally, I can buy a microprocessor. I found one for $20. I can build a computer, and here's how I'll do it. I have this terminal where I type on a keyboard to a computer in Boston. What if I cut out Boston and put the computer, a little microprocessor, some RAM, and like our Hewlett-Packard calculators, a little program that I'll write, on a board. I'll put it on a board, and then I'm typing with the keyboard to my own computer. And my own computer can type back to my television set. And so it wasn't really a computer design, it was taking the terminal that I talked to Boston with and adapting it to a little microprocessor. And once I did that, I was so proud of it. I designed it with so few parts, and I just wanted to help everyone in the computer club. Well, first of all, I was so shy. Never once in our whole club did I ever raise my hand to speak. I was too shy to speak. But if I developed something good, that was my way of communicating in the world. Or if I played a prank, that was another way to communicate. So I would give away schematics to people and say, here, you can build your own. And it had my schematic, my circuit on it, and my name. And I would pass out schematics and code listings and just gave them away, no copyrights. I was trying to help everyone else in the club get their own computer to help the world get to this better future place. Steve Jobs came along and said, why don't we start a company, not a computer company, just a company to sell the PC board so it's easier for them to assemble your computer. And I said, well, everything I designed was owned by HP. I went to HP and I lined up all the levels of managers, and they turned me down for some good HP reasons. A Hewlett-Packard product has to be different than the sort of thing I was talking about. And I got turned down 5 times total at HP, actually. Sort of sad, because I wanted my company to do this so badly. Well, now Steve Jobs and I started the company. We put in a few $100 each. I sold my most valuable possession, Hewlett-Packard 65 calculator, and we put in a few $100 each, and we were going to build PC boards for $20 and sell them for $40. That was the idea. Steve came from the surplus parts retailing background, so I was at work and he called me one day and said, "Are you sitting down?" He says, "I've got a $50,000 order." And, I mean, we had invested a few $100, all the money we could come up with. And he has a $50,000 order, twice my salary at Hewlett-Packard. And that was a shock. It was the guy at the local computer store had seen me at the computer club, and he knew that we could build him a computer that was very easy to assemble quickly. So that was the start of Apple Computer. And originally, Steve had 45%, I had 45%, and Ron Wayne had 10%. And now we would get the parts on 30 days credit because we had no money, and we would build the computers, get them working, and then we would take them, drive them down to the computer store and get paid cash on delivery. And we could cycle it in 10 days. We had 30 days credit, and so that's how we ran this period that's known as the garage period. And the garage really wasn't a company. We didn't have a phone or do any designs, but it was the place we could put our computers and show other people.